Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and a warm welcome to all our participants once again. Pleasure to be back here on this webinar platform. And we've been doing a series of webinars, as those of you who have attended before know. I am Sanjay Devudu, and I have my colleague Anjali Desai as well, whom you can see on the screen. So look forward to we are having a very crisp and short session today, just because we know it's a kind of despite the lockdown, it is a Friday afternoon, and a lot of people may be having other stuff to do as well. So we hope and trust all of you are staying safe and taking care. And so let's start. Anjali, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. A very good afternoon, everyone. A warm good afternoon at that, with the summer temperatures rising. And definitely hope that all of you are taking care and are safe. So today's topic is we thought we'll spend some time discussing with you and making it interactive, of course, about how is goal setting done in terms of uncertainties of this kind. So we looked at some research that has been done across the world, and 72% of the companies are worried about the goals that they have set, because what was talked about in December, January of 2020 and what is happening in our midst now is so very different. And given that, uh, how important it is, how critical is it that we as leaders respond to these challenging times and crises. So, the we all have to recognize that it's human nature. I know that we're all afraid of possibly the spiders and the lizards and the dark and tigers for sure. So negativity in times such as this, definitely derails people and snowballs possibly all the ideas that we've had. So it becomes even more critical, hence, to practice and to enforce as and be as realistic and positive as possible, because we cannot afford not to control the situation, but we can definitely try and control our response to it. So having said that, we thought this quote of John F. Kennedy is absolutely appropriate. And over to you, Sanjay.
Yes, thanks, Anjali. So, over a period of time, I mean, many of us were not even around when we have seen some calamities which happened. And I was reading a very interesting article. For those who were born between 1900 and 1920 or so, uh, every decade of their life, they have seen some major event happen or the other. So if somebody was born in 1900, in 1918 they saw the First World War. In 1918 they also saw the Spanish flu, which is similar to what we are facing today after almost 102 years. In 1929 they saw the Great Depression. In 1939 they saw the World War, and so on. So almost every decade they've had to revamp their lives and try to reset on how they do things. So probably that is what caused John F. Kennedy also to come up with this. There is nothing more certain and unchanging than uncertainty and change, which is a part of our lives. Who expected that in February that we will all be going into lockdown? We knew there was a problem, but how intense is that going to be for individuals, for companies, for businesses, for states, and globally? We never expected that. When we said China has a virus problem, we expected it to be probably over in China and probably at best some countries close to China. But did we ever think that it's going to spread so globally? Obviously not. So that is the reason why we can be very, very, very sure that we have to be constantly unsure of what change we are going to face. So we have to be eternally prepared for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and go ahead. Sorry.
no, no, no. I was just about to say over to you.
Now, I also wanted to mention that, while Kennedy was the youngest president of USA, as we are all aware, he said what he said, that nothing is more certain and unchanging. When he was trying to bring USA out of the confusion and the stagnation after World War II. So just imagine the depth of saying something like this by the president of a huge country such as that. So we are in the midst of something possibly equally alarming and equally uncertain, and hence, just wanted to bring that point across.
Absolutely, absolutely. Take his own life. He didn't know what was going to hit him, and one fine morning he was assassinated. So everything was fine, and he just was gone in the next few minutes. So that's the certainty of uncertainty, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can move on,
very
Anjali.
true. So, what has changed fundamentally? If we look at, if we even think about this for a few minutes and really spend some time on it, companies that actually are very quick to respond and, in some cases, actually react and act on the change that's happening. So, when they are adapting to the new ways of managing people and businesses, I believe that's when they will possibly get through a period such as this. So, Sanjay, would you want to add on to this point, please?
Sure. So if we take a look at what has happened over the past 2 months, every industry, travel completely shut down, hospitality completely shut down, gyms, bars, salons, anything that you take which requires people to be there or generally find a lot of people happening, shut down. Factories, automotive, engineering, everything except pharma almost was shut down, right? So if that is the level of change that we have experienced and continue to experience, what are organizations, what do organizations need to do? They need to rethink on how they do business. And it's not about just this time. It is about what is going to happen. Because like we keep hearing over the last 2 months, new normal and next normal, new normal and next normal are two terms that we are constantly hearing. Yes, everything is going to change. A lot of people that have started working from home at an individual level, all of us have started doing so much of virtual work. That is a huge adaptation. And for many people, this is the first time in their lives. So the mindset to do things differently has to be first accepted. And that is what has happened over the last 2 months. Having done all this, what next? We don't know. Nobody has an answer, right? So even when we are talking about goal setting today, we are not talking about specific goals. The reason is we are trying to just set a mindset in people on how they should think about goal setting. And it is not about actual goal setting. Reason is whether it is at a personal level, whether it is at a business level, we don't know how it's going to change in the next 3 to 6 months. So with all these uncertainties, this ambiguity that we are experiencing and encountering day on day, what is it that businesses and leaders should be thinking of? That's the whole purpose behind this entire exercise today, right? Over to you, Anjali.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add a couple of points here. You know, we were also reading about some companies who are adapting very well to this change. Okay, and how are they doing it? I think we all need to look back and understand and always remember that they are actually learning to fall back on the greatest resource that they have, which is people. All right, they're doing that. They're thinking about who are with me, who are these people, and how can I ensure that I use the best, I get the best out of them in times such as this. You know, we understand that employees are concerned about their future. There is no doubt about that. All of us are going through those highs and lows as well. So, acknowledging that there is uncertainty and that these experiences are real and cannot be ignored, and then leveraging about what our people bring to the table is something that we should pay attention to. So, directly addressing the issue is something we recommend when we go back and specifically talk about goal setting. So, 3 points that I would, possibly like to leave behind as far as this slide is concerned is the ability to adopt and adapt to change quickly as possible, simultaneously with the ability to build hope and hence the confidence to plan ahead and execute on the plan as swiftly as possible. I think these are the three thoughts that we will keep in mind and then move ahead. Over to you, Sanjay.
Interestingly, Anjali, in the first poll question that was asked of all our participants, 57% of them are saying that their organization are ready with clear goals for the next 3 to 6 months, and
Wow.
56% and 44% are saying that their organizations are not ready. So that is the dichotomy we are facing. Roughly half the organizations are saying they're ready, roughly half the organizations are saying not ready. Why is that possible, or how is that possible? I think the answers lie on the slide that we are talking about. So what next for businesses and leaders? There is a lack of clarity on how things will emerge, right? What decisions to take now and what later. So probably, if you look at the 55% of organizations which are saying that their goals are clear over the next 3 to 6 months, that means they have probably understood the business, understood the environment so well, or they are in a business where their products or services are so essential that they will not have a problem. That is one possibility. Second is the risk of risk taking. Their leadership is so clear that they're willing to take that risk and hedge their bets on saying, you know what, I think this is the direction that in which it will go, and therefore this is what we need to focus on. Perfect way of looking at it. There's nothing wrong with that. How things will change over there. First of all, why are we talking only 3 to 6 months? We are talking only 3 to 6 months because there is no certainty of how things will change over the next 3 to 6 months. Whether the lockdown will continue, whether it is going to be global, whether it is local, whether companies will be allowed to operate, which companies, how much, we don't know. We are all talking, we are almost living day to day now. So kudos to these 58% of organizations for having taken that risk. So does that mean the remaining 42% are wrong? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that they are cautious or they are uncertain of how their particular business will probably emerge. Take the case of probably a retail sector or the malls or the restaurants for that matter. They're still unsure of whether all of us will go back to eating in restaurants as soon as the lockdown comes down. Well, don't know. There would be one section of people who will say, yes, we have no problem, we are going. While a lot of others might be saying, you know what, I would not take that risk, let me wait for another 6 months. So how is that going to emerge from a business perspective? So those would be the concerns that they would be having. Therefore, it is important for leaders. That is the reason why we said these are the only 4 things. And more importantly, at an individual level, it is easier to take that decision of whether we want to go out to eat or not, or whether we want to go to see a movie or not with our families. But it's not that easy for businesses and leaders. They have people to manage. They have to pay them their salaries. There is enough confusion and more. There are scare about job losses. There are scare about new hiring getting frozen. There is a scare about whether new business will come in or not. And like we were discussing earlier this morning, the uncertainty over receiving money for business already done is also there. So there are so many X factors which are currently playing on the minds of businesses and leaders that it's not easy to do that, right? It's not easy to take that decision. And that is possibly why you see this dichotomy between 60. So it has now gone up to 60-40%, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting to see that 60% of the organizations are clear on what they want to do over the next 3 to 6 months. So as we go along this, over the next 30 minutes, let's see how things emerge. Over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, some of the points you mentioned are absolutely right, and heartening to see the 60% saying there are goals that are set. That's super awesome. So a couple of things again, like Sanjay talked about, I think it's important for all of us to always remember that, lack of clarity and uncertainty hence is uncomfortable for everyone. So once again, as leaders, how are we taking care of everybody in our respective organizations, right? And when you look at how we as people react towards stress, especially in highly charged times like this, I think our anatomy is made in such a way that not only do we react in an unhealthy way to stress, but then it also spreads like virus, actually. So we have to be careful that, we are taking care and hence managing people's expectations, keeping this in mind, because if we are not healthy, if we are not thinking healthy, if we are not healthy ourselves, then spreading that within our organization, within the people in our organization is very easy. And that's something we don't want to happen. So hence the very last point where, the risk of risk taking and decisive action becomes all that more important. So some simple questions that we have asked ourselves also over the last few weeks is there anything that, as an organization we should start? Is there anything that we should continue? And is there anything that we should possibly stop in these times? These are very simple questions to ask, and go ahead and set those goals and hence priorities for each individual within your circle of influence.
Very interesting answer to the second question that was asked of our participants on, has your organization adapted your business plan both in the short and medium term? A whopping 77% of the answers are saying yes, which is fabulous, which means the clarity, it's very, very heartening to see that leaders and businesses are thinking clearly and what is the short and medium term. There are a lot of factors, of course, depending on industry, depending on business, depending on the style and capability of the leadership also. But very, very interesting to see that, now it has gone up to 80%, which is fabulous, which is excellent to hear. Yeah. Back to you.
Yeah. And the next question also, has your organization planned its goals for the next 3 to 6 months post lockdown? Is also,
yeah, that was 60%. The first question. Yeah, that has gone up to 62%, which is very clear, and it resonates with the answer to the second one. Since they have a clarity on their goals, they are able to adapt to that business plan. Okay. Yeah.
So everyone and everything is being disrupted in today's day and age. So what actions are those that might work best, having being in this particular scenario? So, one of the suggestions that we had was to involve more people and set up some kind of a task force within your organization. So one recommendation that I have as a woman is, don't try to be a superwoman or a superman at any point in time. Involve more people in whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it is taking decisions about, like we said, the last 3 questions: what should I start? What can I continue? What should I not do at this point in time? So having a task force of people who can actually brainstorm together and then analyze the situations and then take those actions will be very helpful. Sanjay, you want to take the next?
Sure. So for all those participants whose organizations seem to be strongly set with their goals for the next 3 to 6 months, and then being able to adapt to a short-term and medium-term business plan, I think it's a great idea for you guys to, whether you are in HR or in business, depending on your role, it would be a great idea for you to keep talking to people and understanding what is that plan B. What if the next 3 months don't go in the way it has been planned right now? Then what? Or if you have had goals set for more than 6 months, what happens when something doesn't go right in the first 3 months? Is the organization nimble enough to adapt to change and say, you know what, we planned for 9 months, the first 3 months have not gone well, so the next 6 months we need to revisit and replan things. So therefore, our experience from the clients that we have been working with and different organizations that we have been talking to, in the current scenario of uncertainty, 3 months at a time is a reasonable time frame to set goals for. And if you're able to manage achieving those goals for the first 3 months, then great, plan for the next 3, and so on. That is not a one answer for all organizations. That's not what we are trying to say. But the most ideal situation or ideal way of managing the current uncertain situation is to plan 3 months at a time. And most importantly, like Anjali mentioned, not one individual does not have all the answers, or 2 people together also may not have all the answers. Get all those key people from different functions together, whether they are decision makers or not. People have ideas. So if you are struggling with any particular situation or goal right now, don't try to find the answer yourself. Talk to 100 other people. Somebody might have a bright idea, and that person may be completely unrelated to the situation, but may be able to provide you with some logical answers. So that's very important. Back to you, Anjali.
Yeah, so just wanted to talk about a few scenarios that we've come across uh, in terms of covering these points. So in one of the place, which is a manufacturing company, we had actually recommended this, and the actions that the organization came up was with respect to not just looking at where their corporate office is located vis-a-vis their plants, but what works from managing costs better as far as all of this is concerned. So will it work better if the purchase team actually goes and sits at the plant rather than sitting at the corporate office? Will it work better if the finance team sits back at home and does their work from home? So every department, every sub department in that sense was looked at. Number one, the way in which the shifts were planned was again looked at very closely, so that everybody who has to come to the factory comes and is taken care of also from a health perspective. Number two, in terms of studying the environment, it is again very heartening for us to see that both large and SME size organizations are coming back and always asking us as to give them the best case scenario, to ask us to talk to different organizations and look at best practices, and then suggest what could be done given that particular company, the industry that it is a part of. So we've seen people right at the people who were not considered right up there in the hierarchy being empowered at times like this, because one thing is very important: we cannot afford to lose sight of our customers and what we're doing for our customers in these scenarios. So interestingly, the questions being asked a lot of time, which are important, I believe, are what else could go wrong? Are we able to satisfy our customers as much as we are capable of? What could go right at times like this, and are we missing on any opportunities? I see MDs coming back to Sanjay and me and asking us these questions over and over again, which is again extremely heartening for us, because everybody out there is kind of fired on all cylinders and is there taking care of trying to see what best could be done in a calamity of this order.
Right. So, Anjali, to the point that you took the example for, there is an interesting question from Yashovardhan. So his question is, how does an organization set goals? How does an organization which is not very digital savvy and has aged people as majority of their workforce set goals? Interesting question. Your take
Yeah.
on that?
Sure. So, one of these organizations that I just mentioned is a 40-year-old company, and I think if I may say, almost 30% of their workforce has been there for 30 plus years. And when we did the goal setting for this particular organization, Yashovardhan, very not very surprisingly, we actually had to go take pen and paper and tell them, for the next 4 weeks, this is what we are expecting from you. These are the actions that you need to take. This is who will be monitoring you, and if you have any questions, any concerns, etc., this is the person you will go to. So it was written down on paper in black and white and handed over to these people, and all of that finally went up and added up to the to what the plant head at that particular factory had to deliver. So I hope
And
that.
I guess the goals were also set for a short period of time so that they don't get overwhelmed, because the question is, it's aged people, so may
Yes,
not be able to be very agile in their
yes.
understanding. So I guess it was for short periods of time, right? 15 days,
four
maybe one
four
month or
weeks
so.
yeah, four
Four
weeks
weeks
at a
at a
time.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Yashovardhan, I hope that answers your question. There's another interesting question from Shikhar Singh, and he asks, what's your take on the labor law suspension in the states of UP and MP? Does it amount to suppression of their rights in an effort to revive economy? Very good question, very tough question also,
Yes.
Shikhar, for the simple reason that what it is too early to comment on
Yeah.
how businesses will react. So off the cuff, if you want an opinion from us, we feel it's going to be a problem for the businesses because you are just letting everything you let people do whatever they want. Is that a good thing to do? I don't think so. But is that the right thing to do? We don't know yet because we don't know the amount of suffering that we know in general, but specifically in UP and MP, what are the kind of challenges on the ground? How many migrant workers? This migrant workers issue, as you know, is a national issue today. How is it? How much has it been impacting? We don't know the answers to that yet. So first shot would be, hey, that's not fair on businesses. That's
Right.
the first thought which comes to mind. But until we know more details, it may not be right to comment and take a judgment on that. Anjali, anything to add?
No, absolutely. Because exactly what you said. The first thought is, hey, this is not fair. And there are the laws are in place for a certain reason, and we all appreciate that. So, but honestly, what's happening on the ground is something that possibly it's maybe a little early to answer, and till we get more data and information, it may not be right on our parts to say something about it.
Great. So, Shikhar, I hope that kind of answers your question. I know it may not be the complete answer because none of us have the complete answer for that question, honestly speaking. There's another interesting question from Asta Mehrotra, and she says, please give your insights on US-based IT companies in India. They employ a huge number of people, and if businesses get hit, then the unemployment is going to go up high. How should they see goal setting? Asta, I will begin by giving my opinion on that, and then Anjali will share. IT is the biggest sector which is facing the uncertainty today, right? We all understand that, and the reason for that being clients are global. How the situation is in those respective clients' countries is something which we don't know, and they themselves are not sure, and therefore there is a lot of uncertainty around it. Number one. Number two, when their businesses in turn, let's for example assume that your company, a US based IT company, is working on a big software development project for the airline industry, right? The answer is clear. Airline industry themselves are saying that we will not be in a position to get back to normalcy at least for a year and a half or two. If that is the case, what is the priority for them? Whether it is managing people and making sure that they pay their salaries and everything and they manage their basic operation costs, is it the next priority would be to see how quickly they can start services depending on government permissions and therefore be able to start making money. And as a result of all these priorities, what happens? The IT project gets a second priority. It goes down the priority list. Therefore, anything could happen. Now, there are certain ways of looking at how to handle that, and that purely depends on the management of the company that is losing this project. Let us assume, how many people do you have on that project? What are the skills of those individuals? Where can you redeploy them on a different project? Or if they have skills, if they don't have skills but there are people required for another project, how quickly can you train them on those new skills and redeployment into the new project, right? So there are various ways and means in which the first cut answer is not laying off people. That is not the right attitude for any organization, and especially HR folks should be very strong in recommending keeping away from layoffs and trying to save as many people's jobs as possible, because at the end of the day there is an element of humanity also over and above business, right? So redeployment is a great option. So that is my opinion. Anjali, anything to add on to that?
No, I think you've covered it very well, Sanjay. I don't want to add anything, but yeah, laying off is the last option for sure. Interestingly, I just heard an anecdote the other day, where in an IT company where they had lost a small project, there were some folks sitting around idling away, and the MD was thinking about, all right, so what do I do now? The HR over there, very interestingly, so they had a sick bay, and very nicely done sick bay apparently. So one of the young engineers, in the afternoon, he was working from the office that particular day for some reason as a backup. Now that 33% people are allowed to go into the office, so he happily went into the sick bay and was sleeping there for a couple of hours. The first concern of the HR was, is he not well? But then she realized that no, he's doing all right. There are no health issues. So then she asked him, all right, so why did you go in there and sleep? These are working hours. So he said, well, I had nothing to do, so I went in there and slept. Now, I was waiting for her to finish the story because I thought, oh my God, was that taken as an indiscipline? And was he really pulled up for that particular action? So they actually sat him down and asked him, all right, so what else can you do? How else can you help us? And remember, this was an SME where cash crunch is really, not it's not a good scene right now. But then they found out what else he could do, and he was being given the option of now sitting down and writing out training manuals and SOPs for the different things that that company is doing. So there are ways and means in which possibly you could look at, okay, so how do I not lay off people? How do I respond to the situation in front of me in a very different way? Think out of the box. So
Excellent. I think, Asta, that answers your question very, very well. I'm sure you'll appreciate that. So I think we're getting a lot of interesting questions, Anjali. We can continue to answer them because that will give an insight to a lot of our participants. So next
yes.
question is from Soumya for you. What is the goal setting for freshers who are passing out this year? Please give your suggestions for students for their preparation. Very interesting.
Okay. So I'm is this IT? I mean, I'm assuming it is IT, but even if it is manufacturing, uh, I so what we've done, and I think Sanjay will agree that what we've done in the past is, well, when it was normal, not really the new normal, right? Even when it was normal, and which will work even in today's day and age, will be to ensure that first, why is it that you're hiring these youngsters? Once you're clear with that, the purpose of why they're coming on board and the purpose of the organization. So these two have to match. And once you have a match between these two, you can definitely break that down further depending upon the background that these youngsters are coming on board your company with, and then allocate them typically those 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you know, tasks to do or goals to be met. So it could be in terms of even skilling, even though they're coming out of their organization straight into your organization, it could be in terms of skilling, upskilling, reskilling. It could be in terms of, maybe shadowing another project which is going on right now, and you might need some help there given the extraneous circumstances that we are in. So you will, in a way, have to definitely dig deeper than treating everybody on the same platform, and ensure that you bunch, maybe 3 people or 5 people or 10 people together, and then give them the goals over the next 3 months, and take it bit by bit, and not really tell them, all right, by the end of 1 year this is what we expect you to do, which may not work. That's my 2 bits.
Yeah. So Soumya clarified that it is non-IT. So I have one more angle to add, Soumya, to your question. Even if you have, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Anjali, even if you have hired a set of freshers or you have offered them to join your organization for a particular role, and the nature of the business at this point of time of uncertainty does not give you enough work to be able to allocate it to them, there is no harm in explaining that to them and redeploying them somewhere else temporarily. Make use of their skills or train them in an area where you need people, and then you can always send them back to the original. So that redeployment is a very key function or of what is right and what not, just doing something for the sake of doing it. Just because we have committed doesn't mean that people will not understand. So if I may just digress for a moment, Anjali, on the question of what is the biggest challenge you foresee to meet goals that have been set. The options given were manpower, financial crunch, lack of clarity, and all of the above. So it's interesting. 39% of the respondents have said all these factors are biggest challenges, which is natural, right? So
Yeah.
that's the idea of
Yes.
asking. Financial crunch comes next, which is 32%. Lack of clarity is 25%. Manpower is only 4%, which again
Oh,
goes back to the question of Soumya to
yeah.
say, which means there are enough people, right? It's not a challenge with people. It is how you utilize those people
Yes.
is what is the biggest point of clarity and making use of optimal resources, right? Yeah. So the next question is another interesting one. Now, Pran Ranjan says goal setting takes a myopic approach to address what happens today. How to orient an organization to look beyond this phase of uncertainty, right? You want to start with that, or
Go ahead.
yeah? So Pran, this is exactly what we have been talking about over the last 30-35 odd minutes. The uncertainty and the vagueness will continue for some time, right? So therefore, is goal setting a myopic approach? Yes and no. The reason is it has to be myopic because of the uncertainty, which we don't know what is going to happen post 3 months. The ability of leadership to take risk beyond the 3 months is the second factor, which is going to be key for any organization. If some conservative thinking leader says, you know what, 3 months is all I want to think of, I don't want to think beyond that, that is being safe. There are leaders, and we have heard of organizations which are taking risks of saying, you know what, this is an opportunity for us to diversify into this new line of business. And therefore, in the next 6 months, we should be moving in that direction, put all our resources, effort, time, money, people, whatever we have to drive that business in a new direction. Now, how to orient an organization to look beyond this depends on that leadership. If people are scared at the top, I don't think those working at the larger population, as you know, maximum population in any organization is at the lower to mid level. If the leadership is not clear or willing to take a risk, then it becomes very difficult for the juniors to look up to them with confidence. So to answer your question, it is the leadership which needs to take that call on saying how much risk am I willing to take or should we be taking. That's where clarity will come in to look 3 months, whether it is myopic or long term. I hope that kind of answers your question, because it depends on organization to organization and business. Anjali, next question for you. Is this the right time to fire? And this is from Yesh. Is this the right time to fire any employee? Where did that question go? Let me just go back. Yeah, is this the right time to fire any employee? Okay, the questions keep jumping back for some reason.
Yeah, that's.
Is this the right time to fire any employee keeping performance issue, whether it is true or false? How should HR react in between management and employee? We are being nugget in between scissors, nutmeg in between scissors, I think. Irrespective of companies doing well financially or not. I think we know the answer. Over to you, Anjali.
Yes, I'm sure Yash knows the answer himself. So yeah, as per the geos that we've seen so far, this is not the time to fire any employee. And if there is a performance issue, rightfully the company can give a letter to the employee saying that there are performance challenges that you are going through, and ideally again bringing in the human angle. I think give some time for the performance to be to ensure that the performance there is some time given for the individual to improve on performance. Otherwise, let go of the individual. We would do that in normal times, and we can do that during this time also. So if that's an issue, that's ideally the way to handle it. I hope that answers your question, Yash.
So next question is from Rohan, and he says, How can sales in pharma and healthcare company go digital? Will doctors give time? Will salespersons visit hospitals? How can HR facilitate?
Interestingly, we were talking to a very large pharma company the other day, and we had their regional sales managers and area sales managers with us on the call. And doctors are willing to go digital. So I I think there are a lot of times when we assume that something like this will just not happen. I mean, I'm not taking this as an example, but a lot of times we just jump to a conclusion and say, "ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता." But with everything around us changing, a very popular pediatrician in my locality has actually advertised and has been advertising on Instagram and Facebook recently, and saying that, you know what, I am going to be doing consultation online. So yes, there are doctors that we are aware of within our circle itself who are more than willing to take calls online. They are doing the same thing as we are: Zoom calls, uh, WhatsApp calls, etc. And HR can ensure that whatever help in that sense the sales and the maybe even the doctors need in this case, they can possibly just facilitate that in terms of it happening. So we heard from these area and regional sales managers that the medical representatives are already equipped, and they're just being upgraded. The instruments, the IT equipment that they have is being upgraded for this to happen. So yes, it is possible, and it is happening in real time even as we speak.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Then there's another question which is from Neha. Is it right / legal for now, that is during COVID-19, to send some people in the SMEs on unpaid leaves suddenly for a period of 3 months or more during this period? Neha, the answer is very simple and clear. The government has clearly given the guidelines also under the National Disaster Management Act. It is not the decision of it is not legal for a company to unilaterally decide that they can send people on unpaid leaves. That is not acceptable. And the employees, if unfortunate employees who have to face such a situation, they have the right to take it up with the labor authorities and create a noise around it. So that answer is very, very simple. So the next question is from Monica. Neha, I hope that answers your question. So Monica asks, how do we motivate employees to perform at work from home at this time of uncertainty? Anjali.
Yeah, so you know what we've been recommending, and possibly not just over this webinar, but several discussions that we have, is keeping in touch with the employees when they are at home on a very regular basis, and possibly having some kind of a buddy system in place, a regular routine where you're checking with them to ensure that they're doing well, they're able to meet those deadlines, those targets that has been given by the organization. In what way can we facilitate them to ensure that they are focused on work when it is necessary for them to be? So there are companies that there is one large fintech company which is apparently, and yes, it is a large company, so it's possible for that company, which is apparently given employees different options, where there are drawing classes being recommended, there are music classes being recommended, there are group sessions for children being recommended, and they're saying that, all right, so here's the link, and maybe this is how you can keep your kids at home occupied, your maybe seniors at home occupied. So seeing what the pain points of the employees are if they're not able to focus on work will give you the answers that you need as to how to keep them motivated and engaged. I hope that
Right.
answers your question, Harika.
So Priya Dikshit asks, if employees are good at productivity, they have a stable network connectivity and have good work environment, can we still go on with the work from home option? Priya, I think the world is definitely moving towards that, and in fact started moving towards that. As I'm sure you must have noticed in the media, a couple of large IT companies have already announced that over the next 4 to 5 years, 75% of their company they want to get to work from home. Another organization has said in the next 1 year, they want at least 25% to move to work from home. So that is going to be the next normal, if I may use the much used term. So your follow-up question says, or what is the best resumption plan? So if work from home is something that does not affect your business or productivity or client servicing in any manner, you can continue to do that and plan for it. Or if that is something which is not acceptable as a solution to your organization, resumption plan will depend on a few factors. First and foremost, what are the guidelines that the government has given in these conditions, in this situation? 33% of the workforce can get back to the office locations is what the guideline that has been laid down, and that is if the company is in a green zone or an orange zone. If it is a red zone, which is a severely affected zone, then you still cannot operate from the offices. So if 33% is an option that has been given, then you'll have to look at which are those 33% people which are absolutely critical to business that necessarily need to be in the office. That would be your first point. Second is, within that 33%, what kind of roles? Is it your IT network people that need to be there? Is it your customer service people that need to be there who talk to clients on a daily basis? Or is it those who are working on development projects? I'm assuming it's an IT company. So are those who are working on development projects, some of them need to come because you cannot delay delivering some projects to your customers. So those are decisions which need to be taken internally. But is work from home option, to summarize the answer, is work from home an option, something that you can go with for long term? Absolutely yes. If not, what is the resumption plan? Those are some of the thoughts that need to go into planning if you have to get people back to work. Okay. There are a couple of questions from Rashmi, and then there was somebody else who asked a similar question around salary cuts and appraisals not happening. So how do you encourage people to set goals? So Anjali, on that point, yeah, so this is from Narendra and Rashmi, somewhat similar questions. Companies are working towards goal setting, but they have stopped appraisals and salaries, which will impact attrition. And how is the revised goal setting will work when we don't have experienced workforce to accomplish this? So your answer to that, Anjali?
The first and foremost thing is the how have you communicated this to your employees? I think that's what's most critical, because I think employees understand the situation that everybody is facing, whether it is at the entire leadership level, organization level, etc. So has this been communicated very clearly to your organization? And again, very interestingly, one of the MDs that we are working with, every third day he records a message on his phone and ensures that that message goes out to all his 600 and explains to them what are the challenges that he at his level is facing and foreseeing, and what kind of cooperation does he then expect from the employees. I think it's very heartwarming to see that, because he's sharing his anxieties and his troubles with everybody across the hierarchy. When you're doing that with your employees, I think they will understand. So if you're clear about the fact that, all right, appraisals and hence merit increases will not happen now because of reason A, B, C, and these are the goals that are being set for you in this short term, we will take care of, we will try our best to take care of the appraisals 4 months from now, 6 months from now. I think it will allay a lot of fears that employees may have. I hope that answers your question. Sanjay, would you like to add something to that?
So Anjali, I think you covered it very well. So in line with that, I think we are also running out of time. So I just wanted to cover one more important aspect. How well are you equipped to handle all the concerns that may arise from employees was a question that we asked our participants. 62% of them are saying they're still preparing, right? So to handle those queries. 24% of them, interestingly, have said they're very well prepared, and 14% of them still have a lot of doubts. right? So I think what this basically tells us is the discussions that we have been having over the last few weeks about how, when this situation arises of questions coming up from employees or from leaders themselves or from your other stakeholders, external or internal, those are going to be extremely crucial conversations on how you are
Yes.
able to build trust and confidence within your employees, or if it is a manager within their team, or if you are a HR person answering queries from employees, depending on whatever your role is, each individual is going to have a lot of critical conversations that are going to happen over the next couple of months. How to handle those conversations, what are some of the things that will come up, what challenges or what resistance will people face from the other side when having those conversations. That is the topic that we have been talking about. So it will be a lot of very interesting for us to have that, that workshop which we have been planning, which will make it much more clearer to people. So it's interesting to see that 65% are still preparing, so probably they will be benefited by having answers on how to handle those conversations. For those who are very well prepared, fabulous to know that. Those who have lots of doubts will get lots of answers, when we keep helping. To all our participants, that is our idea. The purpose why we are doing a combination of these webinars and workshops is more to help our own. We are from the HR fraternity, so we know exactly how difficult it is to handle. And so we want to help not only the HR colleagues, we also understand what are the challenges for others who are not in HR from business side of things. So our idea is to constantly keep helping those individuals. And I also noticed that, KKHR had thrown out the question of how many of you would be interested in some very interesting and reasonably priced workshops. Very heartening to see that 82% of our participants are interested in doing that. So please do reach out to KKHR, and they will be in touch with you as well, to get your details and share details of what workshops are coming up over the next few weeks. And we'll be more than happy to host them for you. Anjali and I are always there to help you through this. We are running out of time. There are a few questions which are still unanswered. We are aware of that. But like in all the previous webinars, those who have attended at least our previous, as you know, every single question that does not get answered during the webinar will get answered. Each one of you will get an email individually with your question answered from either me or Anjali. So that is a guarantee that we give you. And you can also cross check with KKHR if that is true, if you don't believe me. But trust me, for those of you who have attended our webinars before, every single question will get answered. So Deepthi Pandey has a very interesting question. I love that question, Deepthi. Thanks for asking. Can those answers be looped into others as well as we find them relevant? Excellent question. Do I have a technological answer to that? I don't. Let me check. So my answer to that is yes, we can. Should not be a problem. How we are going to do that, we'll have to come back to you. We'll have to think of a solution. See, again, this is about innovative and creative thinking in the current uncertain times. We are also learning. So we will come back to you, but we will make sure that you get also the answers. We will talk to KKHR and the technology team behind the scenes, and we will come back to you with those answers. So, but once again, rest assured, every single question will get answered in the next 3 to 4 days. That much I can guarantee you. Right? So any last comments, closing comments from you, Anjali?
No, I just possibly want to say that we need to realize that today the climate that we are in is a climate of panic, and it actually creates both an opportunity for a leader um, to make the most of it with a resilient mindset, and to take the steps that are required to ensure a more resilient workforce and organization. I think we should keep this in mind, and working smart is what is necessary. Setting up those policies that allow people also to work smart with minimal risk, and communicating. And hence, when we talk about communicating, we believe that we've not emphasized it enough. So the next offering from our end is going to be a workshop on crucial conversations, And I would certainly love to see as many of you as possible there with Sanjay and me at that particular workshop. So thank you so much once again. Take care, stay safe. Uh, do not try to be a superhero or a super woman. Uh, take the help of others around you when you're doing what you're doing, and do the best that you can in these grueling times. Thank you.
Awesome. And I just would like to close with one comment from Rekha Roy. She asks, can we have a webinar related to motivation, motivation part of employees who are working from home? Rekha, and to all other participants, we have been constantly thinking, and we are planning a series of sessions, virtual sessions, which will be useful to everyone. What we are doing is we are looking at what is the most pressing challenge that organizations are facing from their people perspective, and how, whether you are in HR professional or on the business side of things, how to address those challenges. So yes, this will come up, and you will keep hearing from through Keka on what are the next sessions which are coming up, and we'll be more than happy to have you participate in those. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, for your absolutely engaging participation. Every time we do a session, we really enjoy the way you engage with us and you ask all beautiful questions, and you keep interacting with us, even though it is on chat. And we'll continue to keep doing these sessions for you as well. Thank you. Stay safe, and until the next time we meet, have a great day and a great week ahead. Bye for now.
Bye and thank you. Stay safe.
We are having this chat session open. Just drop your email as well as your phone number, so that from someone from Practical HR Guru or Keka will be in touch with you for the webinars and the workshop that are going to come. Do drop your phone numbers for the workshop, because we don't have a lot of people and bandwidth problem, so we are connecting on a regular basis directly to them.
And Barun, as usual, just to give assurance to our participants, I'm just asking you this question, or rather requesting here on the chat itself, that the entire list of questions that have been asked, you will be sharing with us, right? So that all those questions which are not answered will get answered.
Yeah,
by
like
me or
always, we will be doing that only. And also, you guys can check out LinkedIn of Keka as well as LinkedIn of Heritage. I will just drop the LinkedIn IDs here itself on the chat. And also, there are regular blogs, takeaway blogs are coming that even Anjali is sharing, even Sanjay is sharing, even on Keka platform, we are sharing the takeaway blogs from all the webinars and workshops we are doing. Those takeaway blogs consist of a lot of useful information and hacks for right now for COVID-19 problem or any HR problem right now we are facing. So please check out those takeaway blogs. And as Sanjay and me was discussing, we also came up with an idea. We'll have a glossary section of all the questions for all the webinar on Keka website. So anytime any questions, we will try to answer all the questions personally, like always. But we'll also copy that question and put it on the website also. So any question you wanted to know, you can just go to FAQ section there. I think that will work, Sanjay.
Absolutely. I leave the solution to you, Barun, and let us make sure that we together answer all the questions for everybody, of those, of course, which didn't get answered, the question which didn't get answered, so that everybody gets the answer. Thank you, everyone, once again. Have a great day and good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
The chat window will be open for next 5 minutes or maybe 2 minutes. That's the time. If you guys wanted to go for the workshop, just make sure drop your mail as well as phone number here. Those who wants to attend a workshop, yeah, answers will be emailed, Dipti, answers will be emailed to you. Each and every question and answers will be emailed to everyone. This chat window is open for the question. You can put all the questions also now. We'll ask our speakers to go through those questions as well. But right now we are working also on a workshop that is going to be on next week. For that, the workshop will be a 2-hour workshop session. For that, we need email IDs and phone number, because even we have a bandwidth problem. So we are connecting with people directly. Signing out of the session, the chat window will be not open. Anybody who wanted to attend a paid workshop, do drop your email address and phone number on the chat window. Bye everyone. Thanks for joining.